There's been worldwide discussion about microplastics in recent months. These tiny particles are everywhere, even in shampoo, and end up choking our seas or rivers with catastrophic consequences. We profile an initiative tackling this global problem. Welcome to Eco Africa. I'm Neo Taigbe in Lagos, Nigeria.
And I'm Sharon Momanyi in Nairobi, Kenya. And together, we host a unique show covering environmental projects in Africa and Europe, co-produced by Deutsche Welle in Germany, Channels TV in Nigeria, and KTN in Kenya. Here's what we have lined up for you on the show today. In Uganda, we meet a woman campaigning to ensure that Ankole cattle don't become extinct. As a breed, they're hardy and well adapted to their environment. We catch up with two young Germans working to get as many people as possible reducing their plastic waste. And we profile a South African organization raising environmental awareness among the younger generation. Sometimes it's worth sticking to what's tried and tested. That's what Elizabeth Katushabe from Uganda thought. And that's why she's working to protect a traditional cattle breed in the northwest of the country. Ankole cows are better adapted to harsh climatic conditions than imported breeds. It was only in the last 20 years that researchers found out that there were cattle populations in this part of Africa as long as 7,000 years ago. Our reporter accompanied Elizabeth Katushabe on a visit to the Hima people.
For centuries, Bahima pastoralists have been wandering with their cattle along the grass plains of central Uganda. The Ankole are one of the oldest indigenous cattle breeds. Their long horns assist their blood circulation and help keep them cool. They are renowned for their hardiness, which allows them to live off poor quality vegetation and limited amounts of water. For Elizabeth Katushabe, they are more than a source of income.
As a person born from the Bahima community, I really believe that our heritage should not be lost. I think this cow, the Ankole longhorn cow of Uganda, is an identity, and it's a hardy animal in this environment. It's adaptable to our harsh environment, and it has actually helped us protect our environment.
But the Ankole have a powerful rival, the black and white checked Frisian Holstein, the world's predominant dairy cattle bred for maximum yield. The owner of this herd replaced all his Ankole cows with these foreign imports. But Frisian Holsteins are poorly equipped to deal with the Ugandan environment, forcing the herders to deploy high quantities of insecticides and antibiotics, the only protection against endemic ticks and parasites. Since the introduction of chemical acaricides, the bees left and even other insects and animals also left. Since there are no more bees, we can no longer harvest honey. Also, many trees have been cut here to make space for the cattle. There used to be many trees and there were thick bushes, and thus bees used to have hiding places. As a member of the Ankole Cattle Conservation Association, Elizabeth Katushabe visits farmers across the country and explains why it is important to preserve their pure breeds. She convinced farmer Daniel Ndiamuhaki to reintroduce Ankole into his herds. With costs for veterinary medicine exploding, many farmers have been re-evaluating the long-horned cattle's economic value.
I realize it's psychology. They have believed because the government policy was to increase production, modernize agriculture. So many of them at a certain level say, oh, yeah, we get a lot of milk, but really we put a lot of drugs, we buy a lot of chemical sprays for the tick, and we don't really get a lot of money.
In Kampala, Elizabeth Katushabe lobbies together with the organization Food Rights Alliance for the government to take decisive action to preserve the indigenous species. Scientists are concerned. Rampant crossbreeding has severely reduced the population of purebred Ankole. They fear that Uganda may be sacrificing a breed with genetic advantages.
Our call for the protection of our genetic resources is not for the sake of it. It is an issue of our identity. It is an issue of sustaining our farming systems. It is an issue of sustaining our food systems. It is our issue of what we have to offer in the global market.
For Elizabeth Katushabe, this is not only a Ugandan issue. Across the continent, indigenous livestock species are vanishing. The world's food supply is increasingly dependent on a narrowing list of highly engineered breeds, a threat to food security and ecological sustainability.
So we should find means and ways of, living with the indigenous breeds, because they can keep the ecosystem properly. So we should not only think about producing a lot of food, but we should think about what kind of food we are producing.
With rising temperatures across the globe and an environment that is becoming more inhospitable to the major breeds, humanity might need the genes that allow animals like the ankole to flourish in the African heat.
Only 20 years ago, the South African township Diepsloot was just a handful of sharks. But in recent years, the population has exploded. And when thousands of people suddenly find themselves living together in close quarters, there will be a shortage of natural resources, and infrastructure will need some urgent upgrading.
That's right, Sharon. In Diepsloot, running water, sanitation and waste disposal have become a problem. The polluted environment is having a negative impact on the residents, especially the children of this township. So now, an organization is teaching the children how to clean up their environment and at the same time make it more livable. We went to Diepsloot to visit this township on the outskirts of Johannesburg, and we joined the children on their tour.
This is Diepsloot, a township in the north of Johannesburg. Community activist Zizi Mukubuse from the initiative Roots and Shoots works with young locals to improve the environment.
Today we're doing a bit of a clean-up since our community is very dirty, and we thought we should take an initiative and clean.
More than 150,000 people live in this poor and crowded neighborhood. Many of them work in the surrounding wealthy suburbs, farms and equestrian estates. The group is taking trash collected in the township to the Shumbashabe Therapeutic Riding Center. Its owners have opened their doors to the Roots and Shoots environmental project.
So guys, one meeting, we'll be doing the eco bricks. So we're stuffing the plastic inside the plastic bottles using a stick, and you should make sure that it's tight and full. It shouldn't be like this, right? Okay, let's do this.
The plastic bottles can be used for construction. Once they've been stuffed with the collected waste, they can replace bricks. The children use them to create a small vegetable garden at a local community center. Here they also learn more about how to grow vegetables on their own.
We teach them about how to create vegetable gardening in small spaces so that they'll be able to grow food, healthy food, at home for themselves and their families in Diepsloot.
Roots and Shoots was started by the famous primatologist Jane Goodall and some of her students in 1991. Her aim was to bring together youngsters to tackle environmental and social issues affecting their communities, as well as for them to spend time with animals. Most of the children had never come into contact with horses. They're nervous to begin with, but soon they're smitten.
Time with the horses because we keep them clean and take care of them.
At the end of a long day, the children return.
My dreams for Diepsloot is that we have a greener Diepsloot with more trees and plants, so we'll have a healthy and a beautiful environment for all of us to share.
The children of Diepsloot are working hard to make this dream come true.
So the EU has just proposed a set of measures to reduce single-use plastics, paving the way for an eventual ban. They include cotton buds, plastic cutlery and sticks for balloons. These are all products that contribute to the endless and harmful plastic litter in oceans and seas and other water bodies around the world. The private German initiative Ocean Kind is pursuing a similar mission. Here's what this week's Doing Your Bit looks like.
Marina and Michael left their jobs in Germany and sold most of their stuff.
We left our home to travel the world with a purpose, to pick up plastic.
They organize cleanup events on beaches around the globe. Their project is called Ozeankind, which means Ocean Child.
Together with thousands of people, we have been able to pick up more than 18 tons of rubbish in 25 countries, within 1 year only.
That's thanks in part to a huge online community that also collects trash, and then posts the results at #PlasticRebell. Marina and Michael work with local recyclers. But it would be best to avoid plastic altogether.
We both know that Ozeankind is not the solution for the global plastic pollution problem, but we think it's better to be the part of the answer than
doing nothing.
Do you like that? If you are also doing your bit, tell us about it. Visit our website or send us a tweet. #DoingYourBit. We share your stories.